Growing up with darker skin, I was never able to shop at the drugstore because they never ever back then made a shade for my skin tone. And although the beauty industry has come a long ways when it comes to inclusivity, I still walk into the drugstore and I'm barely able to find shades that work for my skin tone. And after reviewing makeup for the brown skin community for almost 5 years now, I've probably tested almost every single makeup product at the drugstore. And I think I finally nailed my list of the best brown skin friendly drugstore products that are even better than some of the high-end makeup products that you find at Sephora. For me to say something is brown skin friendly, it means that there is a pretty good variety of shades in the medium to really deep section. And let's be honest, the drugstore be lacking in that range a lot of times, especially with the undertones for brown skin. So with that being said, let's get into it. The first thing I want to call out is these are not drugstore dupes. I actually don't believe and love duping culture. Like drugstore alternative is a better wording for it. Drugstore sunscreen as a brown skin girl is nearly impossible to find. This has SPF 30 and retails for $15, which is a really good price for sunscreen. I think what makes the sunscreen unique is it doubles as a moisturizer, an SPF, and an amazing makeup primer because it's slightly tacky. I will say it does have a thicker formula, so if you want something with a really thin consistency, this may not be the one for you. But because it has that polyglutamic acid, it kind of gives you that nice stick to your skin and helps your makeup like wear and last longer. And no white cast. But because the Inkey List is a chemical sunscreen, and I know a lot of people have sensitivities and prefer mineral sunscreen, the one from the drugstore that is the best for brown skin has to be the La Roche-Posay Tinted Mineral Sunscreen SPF 40. They only used to have this one pasty ass shade, but they recently launched these 3 shades. I will say this is a little bit pricier, I think around like $25 dollars, but this formulation is really nice and it's a little bit more matte. So if you are an oily skin girly, you're gonna love this one. And if you are around my skin tone, to match my neck better, I use shade medium deep because it's like slightly tinted. It's not like a foundation. I think the deep shade will work for like a couple shades deeper. I do think they need an even deeper shade, but this is the only one at the drugstore with actual shades. Now we're going to talk about the best drugstore luminizer primers. This is the L'Oreal Lumi Glotion, and she deserves all the hype that she gets. She has 5 shades. I use the shade deep, but I could probably get away with the medium one, but I like deep because it slightly evens out my skin tone. This wears beautifully under makeup. It's only $17. How gorgeous does that look? And it's not giving chalky, and this wears so beautifully under my makeup throughout the day. Now let's talk about drugstore color correctors. If you are a brown skin girl and have hyperpigmentation like I do, color correcting is a necessary step in our makeup routine. I've made tons of videos on how to color correct. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will probably put that somewhere up here so you can go watch it. Cheapest color corrector at the drugstore right now is probably the e.l.f. color corrector. She retails for $4. That's an amazing price. The downside is, in my opinion, the shade range goes from like a peachy shade to like this really like orangey Oompa Loompa shade. And if you are around my skin tone and use a color corrector this orange, you're gonna have to use a lot of concealer to cover that up. So an option is you can make your own color corrector at home by mixing the e.l.f. color corrector with a little bit of your concealer. When you mix it together, this is gonna get you that like custom color corrector for your skin tone. But if you don't want to mix because you're a lazy girl like me, you could try. These are both under eye brighteners, but they're more flesh toned, if that makes sense. So they work really well as like a overall face color corrector. This is actually new. This is Catrice Cosmetics Under Eye Brightener, and I use the shade Golden Toffee, the 3rd shade, and there is 1 shade darker for even deeper skin tones. And what I like about this is it's got more of like an apricot-y hue, and you can even use it with your finger. You just dab it under your eyes. As you can see, it really helps color correct any of that discoloration. And so far, I found this to be a really good drugstore alternative to my Huda Beauty color corrector, which is my favorite. It's in the shade Mango. If you have more olive-y undertones and need something more bisque or a little bit pink to color correct the green that's in your discoloration, the e.l.f. Putty Under Eye color correcting brighteners are probably better for you. And this one, as you can see, has a little bit more of a pinky tone in comparison to the Catrice color corrector, and this one's also like $6, which is amazing. Now Now let's talk about the best brown skin friendly drugstore foundation and complexion products, because let me tell you, there's very few out there. These actually, I think, check off all my boxes in the inclusivity skin tone category and undertone category for the brown girlies. You have normal skin type or a combination skin type, and also all your foundations are freaking orange. L'Oreal True Match Foundation. This is, in my opinion, the best foundation at the drugstore. I believe she's like $12. She has the blue and green pigment to neutralize that orangeness in the foundation, so the shades don't run Oompa Loompa like they always do. This has medium to full coverage and a really natural finish.
Just looks so beautiful.
So my favorite skin tint from the drugstore is the Maybelline skin tint. I use shade 330. I will say the shade range could be a little bit better, but this, in my opinion, is one of the best drugstore foundations. It does run on a little bit more on the matte side. So if you have really dry skin, I would not recommend this product, but this is such a gorgeous luminous matte skin tint with a more medium coverage. And for the girlies who want the full beat, this is the Maybelline Lumi Matte Foundation. It's pretty new. I believe it retails for $16. Decent shade range, definitely could have some improvements, but this is a warm olive shade. You never ever see olive foundations at the drugstore, which is why I love recommending this product. And this product wears so beautifully throughout the day. Even though it says Lumi Matte, I consider it more matte because it dries down basically completely. It's really, really thin. It's got a little bit more coverage than the skin tint, but both of these complexion products are absolutely phenomenal, especially if you have darker skin. Now let's talk about the best brown skin friendly drugstore concealers that did it better. The best drugstore concealer, in my opinion, goes to the L'Oreal True Match Concealer. This has outperformed a lot of my really expensive concealers. Retails for $13. And again, the shade range is just the best. And the formula is just phenomenal. It also has, if you could see here, skincare ingredients. It has 1.5% hyaluronic acid and caffeine. I use shade N5 to brighten. I would argue that this is comparable to the Lancome Teint Idole Concealer, which I'm a huge fan of. I will say though, it is not the fullest coverage concealer. I would say this is an amazing everyday medium coverage concealer. But if you are a full glam girly, it's really good. It's the Revlon Full Coverage Concealer, and she is really pigmented. If you want to add a little bit of coverage right here, just a small amount, and you could see that a little bit goes a long way. Look at that difference. Use shade 55 Latte. I really like this concealer. I love how it wears and it just sits beautifully under the eyes. But keep in mind, it is very matte. So if you have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles, I would definitely go with the L'Oreal True Match instead. Now let's talk about brown skin friendly, no flashback drugstore setting powders. Not gonna lie, I don't think a good loose setting powder from the drugstore exists, because Huda Beauty, One Size Beauty, I think they're unalternativable. The beauty powder is just so finely milled. I have not found a drugstore setting powder that actually also has shades for darker skin. If y'all have a recommendation for a good drugstore, brown skin friendly alternative, share it with me in the comments. I wanna try your recommendations out too. But if you are looking for a good all over face powder, like a compressed form, you could tell she's my favorite. This is the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop pressed setting powder. I think the shade range, again, definitely needs some improvement, but for $9, this one adds a little bit of coverage and doesn't give ashy nor flashback. It's really good, just everyday, all over, like setting powder. Now let's talk about the best brown skin friendly drugstore bronzers. And I'm not including contours in this because there's barely any cool toned contours on the market if you have melanin. They're always warm. But these, in my opinion, are the best with the best range. This is the e.l.f. Camo Bronzer and Contour. Shade Tan Bronze in particular is an amazing olive toned bronzer, which is so rare to see. That being said, if you have a warmer undertone than me, this shade in particular might show up a little bit muddy on you. This just blends so beautifully, and it has a lot of like pretty deep shades. Again, I do think it needs 1 or 2 more shades in the really deep section, but for $8, I really don't think you could go wrong with this one. If you are a matte girly, the NYX Wonder Stick has amazing brown skin friendly options, and this is also a dual-ended highlighter. Formula is a little bit drier, so it's a little bit harder to blend out, which is why I would say, to me, this is a better alternative for higher end products, but for my matte girlies who just want a full matte makeup look, you are hella oily, this is the one. And for my girlies who want just different formulas, the Milani Cheek Kiss bronzer, this is actually one of the best cream bronzers on the market. And for my bronzer girlies, unfortunately, I don't think this is drugstore, but you can find it at Ulta and it's pretty affordable. This is the Juvia's Place bronzer palette. It is so slept on and the formula is absolutely stunning. Now let's talk about the best brown skin friendly blushes at the drugstore. For $7, you cannot beat the e.l.f. Camo CC blushes. This comes in 11 shades, and if you have dark skin, you're gonna find a shade. If you have fair skin, you're gonna have a shade. And if you have olive skin or around my skin tone, you're gonna have a shade too. And my personal favorite is the shade Suave Mauve, and it's this beautiful, like dusty pink color. So when I wear this blush, I get so many compliments. This blush is also really pigmented, but it's not like overtly pigmented like the Rare Beauty ones. This also wears really beautifully throughout the day. I don't know why no one talks about this blush. It's so good. It just looks like I'm naturally flushing. From a powder perspective, I think the NYX Buttermelt blushes for $10 performs way better than a lot of my other high-end blushes. Again, just like e.l.f., this has literally every shade that you can imagine. If you're around my skin tone, my favorite everyday shade is For the Butter. It's again that like beautiful mid-tone sort of pink shade that's not ashy, and you don't need to use a blush under this because it is really pigmented and it's pretty long wearing. Now let's talk about drugstore brow products for hairy brown girls. I know not all of us have really thick eyebrows, but if you are someone with really thick eyebrows and struggle to have them stay in place all day, this is the product I would definitely recommend. This is a Maybelline Super Fluff Brow Mousse. This is a new product, but I really like how this just adds a little bit of extra volume in the areas that I need it, and it's also like a brow gel. Look at the before and the after. Now let's talk about the best brown skin friendly drugstore eyeshadow palettes and eyeshadows. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't find that drugstore eyeshadows are that great, only because I did hear from a lab when I went to a lab in Italy that powders especially are really hard to make at a really affordable level. But that being said, I think these are the ones that come pretty close, especially if you're on a budget. These are the e.l.f. Bite Size eyeshadows, and honestly, you can't go wrong with these for $3. I think these two shades, Truffles and Cream and Sugar, are amazing if you have darker skin. That being said, if you are also a beginner, I think you can't go wrong with these. Like, I would just swipe like the medium brown shade all over your lid. But this is what I mean when I say the drugstore doesn't do powders that well. It has a decent amount of fallout, and for some reason, these are not the most pigmented. As a glitter obsessed queen, my most requested drugstore item on my page are drugstore glitter duochrome formulas, and this is the only one that I could recommend that passes my standard and also isn't ashy. These are the Catrice Space Glam duochrome eyeshadows, and these are not ashy. This is very comparable, but it's not, from a texture perspective, it's not the exact same. We're finally at, in my opinion, the best part of the video, which is the best drugstore eyeliners that are actually pigmented enough for darker skin. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I find that like if an eyeliner is a little bit streaky, it shows up really streaky on my skin tone because I have darker skin. This is the NYX Epic Wear Ink Liner. This is from their Beetlejuice collection, which is limited edition. The regular side is the same formula as their Epic Wear eyeliner, and this one is just, it's super black. I wouldn't say it's the most matte, but it's precise, and you know, for like $10, it does the job. This also lasts all day and is water resistant. Finally, for all my brown girls looking for a really good gel pencil liner for the girls who like to wear Kajal in their waterline, this is the L'Oreal Infallible Grip Gel Pencil Liner, and when it dries down, this does not move. Only downside about it is because it dries down really fast, you have to blend it out really fast before it dries down. You cannot tell me that doesn't look so good. And for under like $15 together, you can't go wrong. It has nothing to do with brown skin, but if you are looking for amazing, affordable drugstore mascaras, L'Oreal and Maybelline. I really think drugstore mascara is, again, the best way to go. This is the Maybelline Falsies Lash Lift Waterproof Mascara, and if you have really straight lashes like me, this one really adds a lot of volume. But lately, for some extra length, I've been topping it with the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Waterproof Mascara. Waterproof mascara is the way to go, but this one adds a lot of length and the Maybelline adds a lot of volume. See the before and the after. Finally, let's talk about the best drugstore brown skin friendly lip combos. Drugstore does lip combos really well and has a really good shade range, but I thought I would show you 3 different lip combos for the sake of the length of this video. If you're interested, do you guys think I should make another long form YouTube video with just brown skin friendly lip combos? Let me know in the comments. This first lip combo is one of my favorite everyday brown skin friendly lip combos. This is the Maybelline Lifter Liner in the shade Cross the Line. An amazing everyday neutral rich chocolate for darker skin. And this is also transfer resistant, so once this dries, it does not budge. And recently, my favorite lippy to pair with this lip liner is the NYX Hydrating Gloss Serum Stain in the shade Hydra Honey. You can't tell me this is not one of the most beautiful, everyday, wearable lip combo. Of course, because of color theory, this lip combo may not look the exact same on you, but if you're around my skin tone, it's definitely one I think you should check out. But if you are a brown skin girl and want like a more natural, everyday, wearable lip combo, and maybe also have like a warmer undertone, this is the lip combo that I would recommend for you. This is the Milani lip liner in the shade Rich Cocoa. And this is like a warm, deep brown shade. It's a little bit warmer in comparison to the Maybelline one. And I love pairing it with the NYX Fat Oil in the shade Scrollin'. This one's like a gorgeous caramel shade. So if you also have two-toned lips, you can kind of cancel out the gray undertones in discoloration. This is one of my favorite everyday lip combos. And the NYX Fat Oil is by far one of the best lip oils on the market. From a pigment perspective, from a shade range perspective, and for like under $10. This is a lip combo I would definitely recommend. And finally, if you're a brown girly who wants a more bold, like date night, sexy lip combo, this is the NYX lip pencil in the shade Hot Cocoa. I feel like it has really good red undertones to pair well with a lot of like red lipsticks. And the formula is decently comparable to the MAC lip liners. And this is one of my favorite matte lipsticks from the drugstore. This is the Milani Color Fetish lipstick, and I'm wearing the shade Poppy here. It's a really nice, rich, neutral red shade. Probably my favorite drugstore red lipstick. Soft matte finish. It's not transfer resistant or anything, but it's really comfortable on the lips if you have really dry lips like me, and they have other really gorgeous brown skin friendly shades. The shade Desire. This is Passion, a really gorgeous pinky mauve shade. These two and the red lipstick are absolutely stunning if you're around my skin tone. And if you are someone who struggles to find their perfect lip combo, I do have a really good color theory video explaining how you could find your perfect lip. If you are interested in any of my products and want to support your girl a little bit, all the affiliated links will be linked in the description box. No, this is not sponsored. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please give your girl a like, a subscribe, drop a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.